All right, so let's bring in Elton Hart, a legal analyst from the University of Johannesburg's Law Clinic, perhaps to help us unpack the Meyiwa murder trial and the case of the 8 members of the VIP protection. Elton Hart, good afternoon. Thank you for your time with us here on the SABC.
Good afternoon, Liesel, and good afternoon to the viewers.
So we've got 2 cases to unpack. I want to start with the VIP Protection Services case. Now we understand that the bail hearing will be heard next week. But perhaps you could just talk to the contradicting version of events from the polo driver and the cop's testimony. One arguing that, he thought they were being hijacked. The other saying that the driver from the polo was in fact interfering with their cop duties. Really help us understand that in relation to what's at stake here.
No, for me, it is simple that even if they say that the driver of the polo was interfering with the performing of their duties, and their duties is primarily to keep the deputy president safe. Now, at that stage where the danger is averted, and it seems like the evidence is to IPID that the deputy president was on his way to Midrand, long gone, so the danger was averted. They were supposed to make sure that they keep the deputy president safe. What they did there was now going beyond the scope of their duties. Because the force that was used, it was like 2 people on the road, rifles, guns. It was too much. It was unreasonable.
Elton, if you are hearing some feedback, perhaps just focus on answering the question. I'll guide you. But thank you for that context, because I just wanted to also look at the issue of the accused now arguing that the identification parade had not been conducted. And how does that influence or impact what occurred? But also with them wearing masks in court, how sure are we at this point that it is them, the 8 VIP that had been accused? VIP Protection Services that have been accused.
I also looked at that fact, and for me, it's actually the magistrate needs to tell them, listen, you need to take off the hoodies and take off your mask so that I can acquaint myself and make sure the person that's being accused is the correct person that's before court. And yes, we know that because they work in a very sensitive environment, protecting the president, there might be threats to their lives. Hence, they're trying to conceal the identity. Then they were supposed to rather say, let the court be in camera. But they need to conceal so that the magistrate know that I'm dealing with the correct people that actually committed this illegal act on a freeway in broad daylight.
Because some are also questioning under whose instructions they were operating at the time of the incident. And then in terms of the whereabouts of the deputy president, should he also be called into account for what transpired?
If one looks at the deputy president, and if they say they were transporting him from Soweto to Midrand to his house or wherever they took him, he was supposed to at some stage ask the rest of his security detail, listen, our convoy consists of X amount of vehicles. Why am I only now observing X, maybe less, 2 vehicles less on the road? You were supposed to question him and say, why did you stop? Why? Because you are exposing me to risk if you stop, because they're not supposed to stop with the deputy president. They need to go from venue A to venue B. And if they say they try to avert, they already brought the polo to a standstill. They were supposed to just proceed, protect deputy president, and not go on a rampage and take the law into their own hands. So he, as the deputy president, should have inquired. And then there's a guy called Bosiello. He, when reporting to IPID, he tried to cover up, as the IPID investigator Ndlovu said. He's trying to cover up, and that shows it's a concealment of a crime. And the deputy president with his entourage, they need to come and give us some answers. And I think at some stage, Parliament or the president needs to step in here and say, he must give a report of what exactly transpired on that day, because they concealed it. Was it not for this video footage that got to the media, we would not have known that this illegal act by people that's supposed to protect and uphold the law in South Africa is doing what they are doing.
It's definitely opening the conversation to look into some of those questions that remain unanswered as well. Just very quickly, because court is set to deliver judgment in that bail application next week. At this point, given the version of events and the facts that have come to the fore, what are the prospects of a successful bail application? Are they a danger to society? Help us understand from a legal vantage point what the chances are looking like at this point.
Bail should not be used as a penal measure because these guys have got fixed addresses. We know where they work, so the only thing is that they can most probably take their passports, but also their diplomatic passports that they have must be taken away so that they cannot flee the country, and then bail can be granted. But the issue for me is because they also went on to actually send one of the witnesses a message to say that the video footage that was made available to the media has made a lot of enemies for him in the specialized unit. So I think that they have the propensity that they can intimidate and actually threaten witnesses. And that is something that the judge who is hearing this bail application should look at, how to curb them from doing that and actually intimidating and actually scaring witnesses to actually come and give testimony. I'm not saying that they should be kept in custody, but the judge should look at measures of making sure that the witness is also protected here. And if that boils down to that, the only way to do that is to keep them in custody, then it's unfortunately so. They need to be treated like any other citizen in this country.
Alton, thank you for that analysis. I want to quickly look at the Senzo Meyiwa murder trial that's also currently underway. And you know, we've seen issues of a contaminated crime scene now coming to the fore, according to a state witness. Also, version of events, according to Zandile Khumalo versus Ntabiseng Mukete. Help us understand the contradictions emerging and really what's at stake here, how this impacts what is currently under, what's coming to the fore in relation to justice prevailing at this point.
We're sitting now currently with witnesses that's now surely contradicting themselves, that saying that the crime scene, and this speaks to what the accused persons was saying from the get-go, that the crime scene was cleaned up. It was not left untempered when this incident occurred, and they are now surely but showing now the cracks in the evidence that they are giving. And the nice thing about it is also that now one can also pick up that some of the witnesses are even fabricating the evidence to slot in with previous witnesses. Because there is a guy that was just previously before the forensic analyst that's currently on the stand. He was on the stand and he said certain things happened and certain things, he found certain things in the house which was contrary to what Zandile Khumalo and Ntabiseng Mukete was testifying. So now they are contradicting each other, and now the judge has to make a credibility finding against witnesses to say who was credible. And once that doubt is created, it means then it speaks in favor of the accused persons. And for me now, it shows that there was some interference with the type of evidence that was collected. And I now more and more feel like the person that's currently in the dock as accused persons is not the person that was actually responsible for the death of Senzo Meyiwa.
Alton, I just want to actually look at the new witness, Lambertus Steyn, Colonel Lambertus Steyn, that's come to the fore, because he analyzed the cell phone data, the incoming and outgoing calls and messages from the phones. And I really want to understand what he could bring to the fore at this point. To help us understand really the dynamics from a more empirical standpoint.
If one looks at the analysis that Lambertus will bring, is like what they call cell phone triangulation, because you have 3 points between 3 different cell towers that can place a person in a specific area. So what the evidence is he's going to bring is like look at the cell phone and see from which towers was the accused person's cell phones at that point pinging, to actually put them in the location so that one can now say from evidence, circumstantial evidence, because the identity of these people are already being questioned and there's already cracks showing, to show that maybe by his evidence that they were in that area of Vosloorus, which means they were not too far away from, so the possibility that they could have committed the crime is there. And that is what the evidence of Lambertus, that the state is introducing that evidence to try and show that. Obviously, the defense will now come and say, but maybe this person stays in that area, and I know someone was arrested somewhere in Rustenburg, and maybe there's not even evidence that placed him there. So it can also help the defense to show that at the time of the incident, they were too far away, and it's humanly impossible for them to be in 2 places at the same time, unless they were so clever to give their cell phone to somebody else to travel to a different place while they go and commit a crime. So, but that's the work for the state, and that's the evidence that I think that Lambertus is trying to bring to court.
That case is still underway at the High Court in Pretoria, so we'll continue to monitor developments. But Elton, thank you for your time with us on the SABC and for weighing in. Elton Hart is a legal analyst from the University of Johannesburg's Law Clinic, unpacking the Senzo Meyiwa murder trial that's underway in the High Court in Pretoria, as well as the case of the 8 members of the VIP protection unit. We do understand that court is to deliver judgment in their bail application next week, come the 1st of August. So we'll continue to monitor developments on that front.